Let's start our first news. Conor could be avoiding surgery following his ACL injury, and a new video has sparked even more speculation about what is really going on. Ever since Conor suffered the leg injury during his return against Max Holloway a few weeks ago, fans have been questioning the severity of the damage. Some have even speculated that he may have been injured before the fight, while others have questioned whether the injury was as serious as initially reported. Dana White previously stated that Conor tore his ACL and meniscus and would need surgery. However, a recent video posted by Conor has raised some new questions. In the clip, Conor can be seen working out at the gym and performing knee raises with what appears to be additional weight. What has caught people's attention is that there is no obvious sign of a surgical incision on the inside of his knee, suggesting that he may not have undergone surgery yet. Of course, nobody outside of Conor and his medical team knows the full details of his condition. It is also possible that doctors have cleared him to begin some form of rehabilitation before surgery, depending on the exact nature of the injury. Still, the situation has created plenty of speculation. If Conor truly suffered a serious ACL and meniscus tear, fans are now wondering why he appears to be training already. Perhaps the injury is not as severe as originally believed. If that's the case, it could be the best-case scenario for Conor, potentially allowing him to return to competition earlier than expected. Move on to another news. Kamaru Usman is now considering retirement following his loss to Duplessis, and his latest comments have raised serious questions about his future in MMA. Over the weekend, Duplessis delivered an impressive performance against Usman, wobbling him multiple times throughout the fight and landing several clean, damaging shots. The back-and-forth battle earned both fighters Fight of the Night honors, but the loss has clearly left Usman thinking about what's next. After the fight, Dana White defended Usman and insisted that the former champion still has what it takes to compete at the highest level. However, Usman himself now appears to be reassessing his career. During a recent episode of the Pound for Pound podcast, Usman admitted that he needs to sit down with his coaches and team to evaluate where he currently stands. He explained that he needs to determine whether continuing to fight is worth it, especially when considering the physical toll his career has taken. At 39 years old, Usman has also dealt with ongoing knee issues, and moving up to middleweight presented another major challenge. Henry Cejudo, his podcast co-host, suggested that Usman could return to the welterweight division and potentially face a top contender like Carlos Prates. Usman, however, made it clear that he would only be interested in that matchup if a title opportunity were on the line. Usman also admitted that he doesn't want to be the reason Prates misses out on a title shot, while joking that there's also a small voice in his head telling him he doesn't want to get beaten up by the dangerous contender. With retirement now seemingly on the table, Usman's next move could be one of the most important decisions of his career. Move on to another news. Justin Gaethje is once again making it clear that he has no interest in fighting Ilya in a rematch, despite continued speculation surrounding the future of the UFC lightweight division. It's now been a few weeks since their massive UFC White House showdown, but Gaethje appears to be sticking firmly to the position he took immediately after the fight. Following his victory, Gaethje argued that he had beaten Ilya badly enough that the former champion did not deserve an immediate rematch. Now, in a recent interview with RMC Sport Combat, Gaethje has repeated the same message. According to the lightweight champion, the push for a rematch is coming primarily from Ilya's team, while he claims that Ilya himself has not publicly demanded the fight. Gaethje also believes there is another fighter who deserves the next opportunity more than Ilya, and that is Arman. From Gaethje's perspective, Arman has earned the right to compete for the championship, and he doesn't see any reason why Ilya should immediately jump back into a title fight after losing his belt. Gaethje explained that he didn't knock Ilya out or win because of a lucky moment. Instead, he believes he simply beat him up over the course of the fight, and that should mean Ilya needs to earn his way back to another title opportunity. The situation becomes even more interesting because Gaethje isn't ruling out the possibility that Ilya could eventually return to the featherweight division. With uncertainty surrounding Ilya's next move, the lightweight title picture could change dramatically over the coming months. Gaethje also pointed out that several fights are likely to happen before December, meaning there is plenty of time for the division to develop before the next championship opportunity is decided. For now, Gaethje seems determined to move forward without looking back. He doesn't appear interested in giving Ilya an immediate second chance, and he believes Arman should be the one getting the next shot at the lightweight championship. Move on to another news. Islam Makhachev appears to be taking his upcoming fight against Garry at UFC 330 very seriously, and new training footage is giving fans a closer look at how the lightweight champion is preparing for the challenge ahead. Islam was recently seen working on his striking during training, focusing on his movement and combinations as he continues to sharpen his skills for the matchup. While his wrestling and grappling have always been considered some of the biggest weapons in his arsenal, the fight against Ian could require him to be especially comfortable at long range. Ian stands at 6'3" tall and has a 74-inch reach, giving him a significant physical advantage over Islam. Because of that, Islam has reportedly brought in Joel Alvarez to help replicate some of the physical characteristics he will face inside the octagon. Joel is also listed at 6'3", but he actually has an even longer reach of 77 inches. That makes him a useful training partner for Islam as he prepares to deal with a much taller opponent who can potentially keep the fight at distance. The goal appears to be helping Islam get a better understanding of the range he will need to manage against Ian. Instead of simply training against someone with a similar fighting style, Islam can now work with a fighter who gives him a closer physical representation of the challenge waiting for him. The height difference is significant, with Ian standing 5 inches taller, while his reach advantage over Islam is reportedly around 4 inches. Those physical differences could play an important role once the two fighters finally share the octagon. Joel also brings plenty of experience into the training room. According to the information surrounding his MMA career, he has finished 22 of the 23 opponents he has faced, making him a dangerous and experienced training partner. For Islam, this preparation could be especially important because Ian's size, distance management, and striking ability present a unique challenge. While Islam has faced elite competition throughout his career, preparing for a fighter with this kind of physical advantage requires careful planning. With UFC 330 approaching, Islam appears to be doing everything possible to prepare for the stylistic and physical challenges Ian will bring into the fight. Move on to another news. Garry has made a bold statement about his upcoming opponent, Islam Makhachev, calling him the toughest challenge a fighter could possibly face in modern MMA. Garry recently shared a clip on social media where he explained why he believes Islam represents an almost unprecedented test. According to Garry, Islam's credentials speak for themselves. He is an unbeaten two-weight world champion and is widely regarded as the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the UFC. For Garry, this isn't simply another fight. He believes this is the moment he has been working toward throughout his entire career. Garry explained that he has always dreamed of reaching this level, and that everything he has experienced, including the setbacks and moments that didn't go perfectly, has ultimately pushed him to become a better fighter. He also made it clear that this is the fight he has been waiting for. In his mind, he has earned the opportunity to compete against someone at Islam's level, and he sees the challenge as something that motivates him rather than something that creates fear. Garry went on to make an even bigger claim, suggesting that it would be difficult to name another recent fighter who has moved up and immediately attempted to challenge a champion with this kind of resume. From Garry's perspective, Islam's combination of championship success, an unbeaten record, and pound-for-pound status makes this one of the most difficult challenges any contender could face. Rather than allowing the pressure to overwhelm him, Garry says he thrives on the excitement surrounding the matchup. He believes the bigger the challenge, the more motivated he becomes to prove himself. That mindset could be crucial when he finally steps into the octagon against Islam. Garry knows he is facing an elite champion with world-class grappling, experience, and an incredible winning streak. At the same time, he appears to be embracing the pressure and viewing the matchup as the ultimate opportunity to establish himself among the very best. Whether Garry can overcome what he describes as the toughest test in MMA remains to be seen. But one thing is clear: he is not intimidated by the challenge, and he believes this is exactly the kind of fight he was meant to have. Move on to another news. UFC 330 has already suffered a major setback, with one of the scheduled fights officially being removed from the card. The event is set to take place in Philadelphia on August 15th, but fans will now have to wait longer for the highly anticipated matchup between Erin Blanchfield and Jasmine Jasudavicius. According to reports from MMA Junkie's Nolan King, Blanchfield has been forced to withdraw from the fight due to an injury. This means the matchup is officially off the UFC 330 card. Unfortunately, instead of finding a short-notice replacement for Jasudavicius, the UFC appears to have decided to simply reschedule the fight for a later date. That is obviously disappointing news for Jasudavicius, who is preparing to compete at UFC 330 and will now have to wait several more weeks before getting another opportunity to step into the octagon. Later in the day, Cole Shelton reported that the UFC is now targeting the matchup for its Edmonton event in October. If everything goes according to plan, Blanchfield and Jasudavicius could finally meet inside the octagon roughly 2 months later than originally expected. For Jasudavicius, this is certainly a frustrating situation. She has already spent time preparing for Blanchfield, only to see the fight disappear from the UFC 330 lineup because of an injury. Still, the good news is that the UFC appears committed to keeping the matchup together rather than replacing either fighter. That means fans should hopefully still get to see this fight happen later in the year. For now, the focus will be on Blanchfield's recovery and making sure both fighters are healthy when the new date arrives. If everything stays on track, this could still turn into a very interesting matchup when it finally takes place in October. Move on to another news. The MMA community is once again calling out Conor, with some fans and commentators questioning the legitimacy and severity of his recent injury. Following Conor's appearance at UFC 329, several people online began pointing out that his knee reportedly showed little to no visible swelling. They also questioned why there appeared to be no obvious surgical scar, especially after reports suggested that Conor suffered a serious ACL injury and would require surgery. Some critics have gone as far as accusing Conor of lying about the injury or even misleading fans. Others have suggested that the injury could have been exaggerated for strategic reasons, while some have even speculated that his fight was somehow a planned throwaway matchup. However, these claims remain pure speculation, and there is no confirmed evidence that Conor faked or exaggerated his injury. One possible explanation is that Conor could simply be doing light rehabilitation or pre-surgery training. In some cases, athletes may begin certain exercises before undergoing surgery, depending on the injury and the recommendations of their medical team. That could potentially explain why Conor was recently seen working out despite reports about the severity of his knee injury. At the same time, critics argue that training on an injured knee could potentially make the situation worse if the exercise is too intense. Of course, nobody outside of Conor and his doctors knows exactly what his medical condition looks like or what his rehabilitation plan involves. It is also possible that he has been cleared by medical professionals to perform specific exercises that are considered safe for his recovery. For now, the uncertainty surrounding Conor's injury continues to fuel speculation about his future. With fans questioning the timeline of his recovery and the lack of clear information, his potential comeback remains one of the biggest stories in MMA.